Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of Ohio EPA Sustainability Conference. My name is Dave Folks with the Division of Environmental and Financial Assistance here at Ohio EPA, and I will be moderating this afternoon's panel session, Celebrating Sustainability Outside of Your Organization. Now I'd like to introduce our first panelist, David Celebrezzi. David has a lifelong passion for sustainability and the environment. He is as comfortable talking to Fortune 500 companies, which I can attest to that, about going green as he is being knee-deep in wetlands surveying amphibians and fairy shrimp. As the City of Columbus Green Spot Coordinator, he manages several programs that inspire, educate, and recognize households, businesses, community groups, and neighborhoods that embrace sustainable practices. These programs include art, kids, and a business course, backyards, and neighborhoods. He utilizes videos, social media, a website, green guides, and a Green Spot Advisory Board, and other tools to engage more than 22,000 Green Spot members and the public. And with that, it is my pleasure to turn the mic over to David. David?
Great, thanks, Dave. I take it you can hear me, and I want to thank the Ohio EPA for giving me this opportunity to talk with you all a little bit about the Green Spot program. But the more important thing first is, what type of pie do I enjoy at Thanksgiving? And the answer is actually none, because I stock up too much on salad. And we go down to North Carolina for my mom's side of the family. So hush puppies, fried cornbread, all that stuff. So mashed potatoes. So usually about 30 minutes after that, I'm already asleep. But luckily I only do it once a year here. So for those of you on the call, let's go ahead and get started. So the Green Spot program, you might have heard of it, you might not have heard of it, but we are based here in the City of Columbus, and we're part of the city. So we're out of Department of Public Utilities. And our mission really is to inspire, educate, and recognize the households, the businesses, the community groups, the nonprofits, and neighborhoods that adopt sustainable practices. And we want to help them achieve their sustainability goals. So we provide a framework for that, and I'll touch on that in a second. It is a pledge program, so you pledge commitments under different categories. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but where Green Spot fits in with the city's sustainability efforts. So Mayor Ginther started Sustainable Columbus. You can see our 2030 agenda there on the screen. I'm not going to read all that, but you kind of see where Green Spot is one of those pillars for achieving the vision there. So by the numbers, you can see how many Green Spot members we have. And then in terms of the categories that we look at informing and engaging, we look at conserving water, we look at reduce, reuse, recycle, we look at conserving energy and green transportation. That's more on the business side of things. We have all those. Sorry, I think my cursor is going a little weird on me here, but those are for the business categories, and the household ones, we kind of cram it into just the water, energy, and reducing waste with transportation kind of factored in there. But some of the programs and activities, Dave mentioned some of these before. I'll talk about some of them a little bit more in depth. If you have any questions about any of these, you can always put it in the chat, and we can get to those later. I do want to give a shout out to the Ohio EPA, the OEEF Fund. I believe back in 2000 and I can't remember, 2007, before my time at the city, but they helped fund putting together the Green Spot in the Dots book, which is an educational book that is meant for second graders, and it talks about how the Green Spot became green. Goes to like the Columbus Zoo, goes to a Sagota Mile, all sorts of cool stuff. Also, we do like to have fun here at Green Spot, so we're not all serious greenies. We have different social media campaigns. The newest one coming up is our Green Spot Halloween memes. So we take famous horror film movie posters and we put a little green twist on them. So as you can see there, that one's from The Exorcist. I'll let you read that. All right, so some quick highlights with Green Spot. Actually, I kind of already touched on this. We do have some resources that are specific for businesses. So how to start a green group at work. What are the benefits of a sustainability manager position? We kind of lay all that out in a couple of guides that we put together. So with the benefits of a sustainability manager position, what's the return on investment? Where do they fit within your organization? And some benefits of joining all of our members, and I'm going to keep talking just about the business side of the program. So all of our business members, they get a cool Green Spot decal. They get a letter from the mayor recognizing them as a Green Spot member. They put the decal up on their window. We have an e-dashboard, which you can actually track some of the things that you're doing to be green. So it's a way to make sure things are on track. We have, and actually the rebates there, that's a little bit more for our household program, but we do have a Green Spot to Green Spot program where some of our Green Spot business members, occasionally they'll offer a discount or free service to another Green Spot business member. So we kind of have a whole Green Spot forum in which folks are talking to one another and just learning as much as they can on sustainability, because we really are in it together, and it is a journey with sustainability. Whether if you're, we've had businesses that have said, I have no idea where to start with the sustainability journey. We want to do solar on the roof. Well, does it make sense to do solar on the roof right now? Or does it make more sense to get the building energy efficient, to change out the lights, change out the water fixtures? And don't forget about that educational component as well, with educating the staff and employees, the clients, of how to live a little bit more sustainably. We also give tours. So some of our Green Spot members, like the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio, they give tours to some of our members. We've gone on recycling facility tours and wetland tours, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So the personalized dashboard, you can kind of see it there. It has the different categories. It has the commitments that you had checked. And you can change your commitments as you go. And the one thing we realized too is, like, let's say you've already changed out your lights to LEDs. Do you click that as a commitment? In our program, we say yes, because you really do need to be recognized for the work that you've already done. So that can go towards your Green Spot certification recognition. And when you join, we like to give shouts out on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, and now Instagram, which I am still learning how to use. So Facebook and Twitter I'm a little bit more adept with. But we give out shouts out to new members there. They get the letter from the mayor, as I mentioned. They get the decal. We also have an e-newsletter that goes out to about 20,000 people. And so we're going to start, we've done a little bit in the past, but highlight some of our members in those forums too. So businesses will get highlighted in both the household as well as the business e-newsletter. Our big event is our Green Spotlight Awards. It's once a year where we recognize one small, one medium, and one large member business that has really demonstrated sustainability over the past year. And our Green Spot Advisory Board, which is made up of 25 folks and organizations, they help us choose those award winners. And it's based on their commitments. It's based on where are they in their journey. Have they had a lot of success over the past year? We want to highlight that. And also at the Spotlight Awards, City Council, we have an environment committee here in City of Columbus. And so the chair of that committee historically has recognized the award winners as well as our Green Spot Sustainable Business class, which I'm not sure if I can see here. Nope, I'm going a little quick. So I'll wrap it up real quick. So with our Green Spot Sustainability class, businesses commit to meeting once a month for 2 hours, and it's 6 months, so a 6-month commitment. And we bring in experts to talk about conserving water, energy, reducing waste, green transportation, green cleaning, informing and engaging their employees and their clients on how to go green. So it's almost like a best management practice type thing that they get exposed to, but also it allows them to talk to one another. So it's like a peer-to-peer where maybe they're having trouble getting a recycling program at their office up and running. So maybe another business has had great success with that. Now they're connected, and now they're able to kind of help each other out. So in that class, we actually start that class next week, and we keep it small. So there's no wallflowers, right, in the class. We want a high participation rate. And it also, we only have 2 hours, which sounds like a lot of time. But once you start getting into some of these things and some of the nooks and crannies of sustainability, the 2 hours goes by pretty quickly. So I think that might be, somebody says, what do you mean by rebates on? Okay, so the rebate program, we have our Green Spot Community Backyards program, and we offer $50 rebates on rain barrels, native trees, and $25 rebate on native plants. And our partners, friends over at Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District, they administer that part of the program for us. Now, that's only for residents of Columbus. There are other municipalities in Franklin County that do their own thing, and they also partner with Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District with that. But yeah, just a whole lot of different ways in which we like to recognize our members, and it really does inspire other folks, other businesses. With our Green Spotlight Awards, we do a press release, so we highlight the members there. It's up on our website. We last 2 years, because of COVID, we've done virtual celebration, and I always usually get 1 or 2 businesses that will contact me saying, "Hey, I saw the press release that you all put out. How do I know about this, or how can I get involved in this program?" So it really does kind of inspire others to get a little bit more involved and to learn about it. And I'll kind of wrap up by saying sustainability is a journey. There's always more that you can do, but there's always plenty that you've probably already done. And it's really important to recognize that work that you've done and help you out with the work that you want to do. With GreenSpot membership, if you're a household, if you're in Franklin County or surrounding county, if you're a business, if you're kind of in the MORPC, Mid Ohio Regional Planning Commission region, you could be a GreenSpot member. You might not get all the benefits of membership if you're outside the city of Columbus, but we really don't try to limit it. I will say we did get a business that was I think in Russia, that tried to join, and I had to decline that because it wasn't it wasn't here in Ohio. But we usually try to keep it to Central Ohio. So with that, Dave, I guess I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thanks, David. That's good. That's a great overview of the GreenSpot program. I will just add really quick, because he took that one question that since we have an audience from just out even beyond Central Ohio, I encourage participants to check their local soil and water conservation district or their area, their government, to see if there's rebate programs, because I know there are some rebate programs in Cleveland, I think down in Cincinnati, and probably some other areas for grain barrels and composting. So, okay, and with that, I want to turn it over to our second panelist, Sam Spofforth. Sam has served as the Chief Executive Officer of Columbus-based Clean Fuels Ohio since the organization's founding in 2002. And I know I'm dating myself as a bureaucrat because I remember when they were founded and when Sam took that position. He plays a leadership role within the Clean Cities Network, as well as in the advanced vehicles and fuels industry. Sam was named to the U.S. Department of Energy's National Clean Cities Coordinator in the year of 2007 and Midwest Clean Cities Coordinator in the year of 2004. He was the original inductee into the Clean Cities Hall of Fame in 2011. For 12 years, he has served as the president of Transportation Energy Partners. It's a national nonprofit that serves as an umbrella organization for many of the nation's non-profit-based clean cities coalitions, and presents an annual Energy Independence Days in Washington, D.C. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn the mic over to Sam.
Well, thank you very much, David. And again, I'd like to thank you and thank the Ohio EPA for having me as a part of this program. It's great. It sounds like it's been a great conference. I'm a big pecan pie fan, so that is my contribution. But I'm with Dave. I mean, I got to watch some football. I got to snooze for a while before I can hit that pie. So with that, let me just get right into our background. I'm going to talk mostly about our Green Fleets program, our Ohio Green Fleets program, and kind of how that works. But first of all, in terms of who we are a statewide nonprofit organization, and we are exclusively focused on sustainable transportation and solutions that improve our health and also our economic prosperity is an important part of our mission. We're also part of a national network. And that introduction that Dave gave me kind of referred to that, but it's through the U.S. Department of Energy and their Clean Cities program. So we're one of about 80 so-called Clean Cities coalitions. We actually are the largest of all of those 80 in the country. We actually provide a lot of leadership to other folks around the country in that program. And just like our organization, that is oriented towards leveraging partnerships to advance specific outcomes around sustainable transportation. So I'm going to focus in as a starting point on our consulting services. Like I said, I'm going to talk about Ohio Green Fleets, but for us, this is a process that begins with kind of interaction, education, and some consulting, some technical assistance. And I'm going to focus in on businesses and governments that have fleets. Just at a high level, I'll say that we have, and I'll get to this, but we have about 110 certified Ohio Green Fleets in our program. I should mention that the Ohio EPA was instrumental in helping us to establish the program. Back in around 2008, 2009, we received a grant from the Ohio Environmental Education Fund that was instrumental in getting us started with that. But in terms of our consulting, is kind of our starting point in terms of working with businesses and governments that have fleets. And it's first of all tailored to the needs of a particular fleet. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's very outcomes oriented. We are a big believer in not picking winners, not kind of predetermining what might or might not work best for a particular fleet, but more focused on understanding what are that organization's outcomes, goals that they're interested in. And so we kind of tailor, we do an analysis of various options, whether it's biodiesel, other biofuels, electric, natural gas, propane, just whatever it might be. And then through that, identifying some solutions that are going to fit well, and that are going to make sense economically on the bottom line. And then we do some planning around that and then help with implementation. And as I mentioned, it's fuel and technology inclusive. So we're not picking certain winners and trying to kind of cram, those down any one throat or anything. We're really we're in a kind of a learning and listening mode and trying to align solutions in terms of what fits best. And then we offer additional services, grant writing, that EVSE is electric vehicles to supply equipment. So we do specific focus on EV charging station planning. We will make connections to industry solution providers that we think are going to be good fits and make sense. We do also a lot of work on policy and can make some connections there. So, a lot of, work that we do is with individual kind of one-on-one, but we also have a lot of partnerships that sort of leverage broader impacts across a wide range of local governments and fleets. And the first of those is Power a Clean Future Ohio. It's an initiative focused on clean energy implementation led by cities. There's nearly 20 partners in that program at this point. And through that program, we are providing these consulting services directly to a number of those communities and really driving, a lot of change, a lot of adoption through many. And joining Power Clean Future Ohio, if you are in Ohio City, it is free to do that. It just requires you to go through our process to look at carbon reduction goals in your city. But once you do become a partner, it unlocks free consulting that we can do with you to help you through the transportation side of that. And then another key partnership is the Columbus Partnership. Of course, a lot of people have heard about the partnership, obviously. A lot of the leading companies, even nationally, internationally, that are headquartered in our region. We have a project where they're funding us to provide this consulting services to a number of those companies in the Columbus metro area. And so we're pleased to work with them. And then we're also just about to enter into a partnership also with the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and we'll provide them the same services around fleets to members of that partnership. Now let me get into the Green Fleets program specifically. So again, leveraging off of the consulting. So as we do education, as we go through a process of consulting, options analysis, looking at what's going to be a good fit, helping fleets to implement those solutions, whether it's biofuels, efficiency, electric, whatever it might be. for those fleets that can go through that kind of process, make those kind of take those kind of specific steps, we can certify them as an Ohio Green Fleet, but they're going to be earning that certification based upon the criteria that we have. Let me kind of talk about just this at a high level. So again, it's implementing the solutions that come as a result of the work we do on a consulting basis or just on an education basis. And then it measures the results. So this is a metrics-driven program. So unlike some other programs that are, because maybe you buy a couple of vehicles, you get a pat on the back, you get recognition. This is a certification program where the certification is earned based upon metrics. And after it's earned, it should be celebrated. And so we have fleets that are, we have 3 levels, 1-star, 3-star, and 5-star. And at every point along the way, it's important to celebrate those accomplishments. So just a little bit, again, at a high level of how it works, this Ohio Green Fleets program. So it's a scoring system. It equates to percentages of reduction in various emissions, including greenhouse gas emissions. It's nice also because it gives you a snapshot. Even if you don't quite meet the levels to earn the certification, you will know where you are. You will have a snapshot. And then you can measure and monitor progress and celebrate that progress as you go through higher levels of certification. And we have examples of a lot of fleets that started off not even being able to earn a 1-star. And then they were able to earn a 1-star, they moved to a 3-star, and then finally a 5-star as they just work through the process to implement. So then all the benefits, again, you're going to be able to benchmark where you are. There's a lot of educational benefits. You're going to get an analysis of all the different options that may or may not fit. You're going to be able to be connected to solution providers. And importantly, Dave talked about peer-to-peer in the Green Spot program. That's very important for us as well. We're able to facilitate those connections with peers who may have already implemented some things that you can learn from just through that relationship. We can provide funding information, and then, of course, recognition. Everyone will earn we can send those that earn the certification a framed plaque. You'll go on our website. We will invite you to a convening where we celebrate our certified green fleets every year. A number of other things that we will do to recognize. And then, of course, there's this ongoing relationship. You're a certified green fleet, so you're going to join a community of other fleets that have also taken those positive steps. Membership benefits, and what I mean by membership, the Green Fleets program is a certification program. So once you're certified, you're a part of it. But there are additional benefits in terms of helping to recognize your success and so forth that we provide more on the Clean Fuels Ohio membership side. We're a member-based organization. And so, there's some additional, like I said, benefits to help you celebrate, some media toolkits and things like that, some additional recognition that we can do, some in-person events. So some of these are, again, these benefits can be accessed through our membership program. We have opportunities for folks to write blogs. The peer connections is often something we can do for free, but sometimes as a member, and then many others. And I guess I'll stop there. But then I'm looking forward to, there's my contact information, and then I'll just keep that on the screen because Brandon Jones is our manager of consulting services. And so it's just Brandon at cleanfuelsohio.org. And really, he is really your best point of contact, point of entry for the organization in terms of the consulting and then the Green Fleets program. So, David?
Thanks, Sam. And thank you to Sam and David for sharing your perspectives and insights about how Green Spot and Clean Fuels Ohio work with their stakeholders daily to recognize the importance of recognition and certifying sustainability progress, which is important. Now we're going to, we're going to get into some questions for our panelists and dive deeper into the programs and how they work with outside organizations to recognize, certify, and celebrate success. We also encourage you to continue to submit questions using the interface, and we will get to those at the end of this section or the session. If not, we will be following up with you after the fact. So since there's this two-moment panel, I'm going to ask a question, and both of you can answer. We'll kind of start with David first. And so although celebrating your successes early is important, in some cases it may take time to earn certification or recognition or to get to the level of recognition you want. What are some key steps for an organization to take to keep the momentum going while still recognizing their early achievements?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really important question, because I mean, the worst thing you want to have happen is you join, any program and then things kind of fall flat. So you want to have buy-in from leadership, middle management, folks on the ground, and whatever successes you have. I mean, it might even be something like you're including in either staff meetings things that you're doing to be green or that you want to do, or even hints and tips for people to go green at home. So in your e-newsletter or your newsletters that you put out internally, you can include things like that. Sometimes it's looking at, well, where's going to be the fastest return on investment? Maybe we don't have a lot of money to put towards this, so we need to make sure we get a return on investment. So maybe you start with changing out the lights to LEDs. And then once you recoup your loss from that, then put some of that money into maybe a recycling program at the office. So it's important to get recognized throughout all of that to keep the momentum going. It's going. I was going to say meeting up, but virtually meeting up. In forums with other businesses and sharing your successes and hearing about their successes, because that's going to make a connection. I think a lot of times that we get into our own world, and sometimes we don't know that this business that's outside of our world is actually doing a lot of really cool stuff. You get exposed to that, and then you just made a connection, and you could emulate some of their success at your office. So it is something where, for us, we look at those 5 categories of sustainability. Our business members get, I'm going to get very nerdy here, but like they get an Excel sheet, right? A spreadsheet that has the commitments on it. And then, it has simple things like, this field is who's responsible for making it happen. What is the time for the return on investment? What are some obstacles that we need to overcome first? So questions like that in that Excel sheet, because again, we know that it can be overwhelming and you might not know where to start. So we want to try to provide that framework to say, okay, here's a good commitment to do. One of our commitments is, and we have easy commitments and harder commitments. So one of our easier commitments is businesses that get our green spot logo. There we go. Our decal. You stick this on your window. That's a commitment. So we try to have things like that. And then, other commitments we have is, installing solar. So we try to have that gamut of easy, medium, and hard. So there's something for everybody, whether you're a business that's just starting out and you're looking into how can you become a greener business, or that business that is maybe leading the way on being sustainable. Maybe there's something in our program for you too. If not, it at least gets you exposure. And you can inspire other businesses too.
Great, thanks, David. And Sam, I know you kind of talked about with the star, the 1 to 5 star, but if you have anything to expand on about steps for an organization to keep the momentum going, especially in your certification program.
Sure. And ours is a certification program. So what really, and through our consulting services, which we see as kind of a building block for that, we offer a free benchmark, sort of a free initial analysis, kind of a high-level analysis of where a fleet is, based upon what they have in their fleet, and then how that translates into specific emissions, again, greenhouse gases, other emissions. And so that's a free assessment that we can do as a starting point. And then just wherever a fleet goes from there, how to whatever degree they use us to help them through that journey, or do it on their own, or then again through connections we can make with industry solution provider or whatever it is, then they'll be able to see as they go along, how do they progress. And then again, our program is free. And so at any point we can look at them again and say, hey, well, now you're a 1-star. And hey, it's time to celebrate that accomplishment of being a 1-star Green Fleet. Here's why we certified you as a Green Fleet 1-star, because of these specific steps that you took in your fleet. And then again, it just goes from there. And as people continue along that journey, celebrating along the way as they move through those higher levels of certification.
Great answers for both of you guys. That's awesome. And the second question is interesting because both of you kind of discussed the importance of education and providing resources in different ways based on like your program. But why is providing education, analysis of your data, planning, and connecting stakeholders to assistance resources important in your recognition and certification program? And I guess I'll start with David first.
I think it's important because, with GreenSpot, it goes a little bit beyond recognition. So it's like, yes, we are recognizing those that have had success being a little bit more sustainable, but we also want to provide the resources to do that. And so I think part of it is knowing where to look. So if you're a business, maybe you're a business and you come to GreenSpot and you're like, hey, we're trying to green up our fleet, but we don't know how to do that. I'm going to be picking up the phone and calling Sam and being like, hey, do you have some time where you could help this business out? If they're looking for, to go a little bit more energy efficient, maybe they have boilers and things like that. There's actually one organization here in town, a pretty large one, that they wanted to get more efficient boilers, but their existing boilers still had a number of years left on it. So fast forward to when they had to get a new one, that's when they decided to get spend a little bit more money to get the energy efficient one. So on their books, it was something where it's like, okay, this boiler, I don't know how much it costs, but let's say it was like, $100,000 and the energy efficient one was $120,000. When they wanted to do that, they still had life on their existing boiler. So they waited until they had to replace something and look for the green option then. If you rent space, maybe when your lease is up, you can ask the landlord or the property manager to put in water efficient fixtures. So there's ways, whether you rent, if you lease your office space or you own the building, there's something for everybody kind of in there.
Great. Sam, like from your perspective in the Green Fleets program, like how do you provide the resources and help them?
Yeah, I mean, education and analysis really, David, is everything because, and I'll just kind of illustrate that by talking about there's a lot of buzz, and rightly so, about electric vehicles. And we are extremely enthusiastic about electric vehicles. We have an entire program called Drive Electric Ohio, which is devoted to educating consumers, doing work on policy, engaging utilities, doing planning around EV charging stations. We're doing a lot with electric vehicles, but that's not the only thing that's worth looking at. So a fleet might come to us, for example, and say, hey, we want to be green. Can you help us implement, kind of help us transition to electric vehicles? And so we say, we'd be happy to do that. But let's take a step back and let's look at your fleet. Let's do some analysis. And then let's educate you. Oh, you have a lot of diesel vehicles? Well, have you thought about using biodiesel in those vehicles? That's a drop-in solution with absolutely no cost premium that can improve your sustainability profile in various ways, and actually might represent some performance benefits. It's like, oh no, I had no idea that we could do that. Thank you for letting us know. So sometimes, I guess my point is that until we are able to do that education and that analysis of the fleet, they don't know necessarily that, some options, efficiency. I'm going to install a system that's going to reduce idling in my vehicles. I'm going to save money, which I didn't realize I could actually save money by going green. Yes, yes, you can. It's just a question of education and analysis, and so that's real important as part of our process.
Yeah, you both make great points because a lot of times organizations come in like, hey, I want to get recognized or I want to be certified, but they really don't know where to start or what that entails. And sometimes there's always a learning curve in pointing in the right direction which best fits your needs. Next question for David, and then I'll ask Sam the same thing. Marketing and awareness of your recognition and certification programs are important. So I know you guys have a lot of members and people that are part of the certification process, but what are some participant examples of success, if you have like a couple for each of you, and starting with David?
Sure. So, I mean, I will say, like, some of our members, like I think Ohio Health, they had a pilot composting program they did at their Blum campus and Riverside. And I think it was something like 20 tons of food waste. They managed to compost, or have a compost hauler come and get it. There are, this example, and part of this too is learning what our members are doing and sharing that with others, right? So there is one group or one organization, EP Ferris, who they gave their employees $1,000 if they rode their bike to work at least 6 times in a year. And I was like, holy cow, that's awesome. Can I get more information so I could email my supervisor, on that? So that's another example. We have corporate cleaning Inc. that they make their own cleaning solutions that are environmentally safe, but they still are effective at cleaning. So sharing that story with folks. American Municipal Power, they diverted, I think, 60,000 pounds of material from the landfill through reducing, through recycling, through composting. And those examples I just gave, you have 2 large organizations, right, with Ohio Health, but the corporate cleaning, they're a small organization with, like, I can't remember how many, but they're considered a small organization in our program. And that kind of gets to, if you have 1 to 20 employees, you're considered small. 21 to 99 employees, you're considered medium, and then 100 or above, you're considered large within, in our parameters. But those are like just three successes. We've had other successes of people changing. This one organization changed out their light bulbs, and their accounting person, their finance person, actually called the one employee into the office because she was like, our numbers aren't adding up. Like, it says that we're like, $2,000 over. And the employee was like, well, no, that's because we changed out our lights to LEDs. Like, we're saving that much a month because of that. It's like, you remember when I talked to you about that? Oh yeah, like several months ago. Well, that's the financial benefit that we're seeing now. So there's stories like that. There's just so many out there. Those are just a few of them. And I know Sam has a ton as well.
Thanks. Sam?
Yeah, there's a lot of examples of this, and I guess I'll give a few. Starting on the government side, we've had this relationship with the city of Columbus and their fleet management division for many years. Helped them with their initial Green Fleets Action Plan, as it was called. This is during the Green Team days when David and I both served on the mayor's Green Team at the time, and helped the city through that. And so it helped them with that initial plan, helped them all along the way to implement that plan. And as a result of some certifications, I mean, they're hanging the plaques in their entryway, and then they've gone on to get recognized as, I think they actually reached the #1 best fleet from an organization called 100 Best Fleets. They were deemed the #1 best fleet in the country, and a lot of that had to do with what they had earned through our Ohio Green Fleets program. A lot of examples of school districts. We've got a lot of school districts around Ohio who we've certified, particularly for their use of propane auto gas. Pike Delta York, gets certified. They're very proud of that. We help them promote that to citizens, to make sure that their board members are aware of it so they can talk about it in the community. And so just a lot of very positive results, from them. Companies like Arctic Express really did a lot to earn certification prior to even working with us, because their owner was and is a very forward-thinking, aggressive, solutions-oriented person, did a lot with efficiency technologies, and made that part of their identity, kind of how that they market themselves. And I'd say J-Rail Trucking is another example of that did that based upon the use of compressed natural gas. So again, I could, like David, I could go on and on. I'm very, very proud of our fleets that we've been working with, and I think they all have the attitude of like, we're never going to stop. We're just going to keep on getting better, and keep on looking for that next thing that we can be doing to make ourselves better.
That's great that you said it, because my next question to you, and both of you have kind of covered this, but I have to ask it because, the theme of our day 3 is celebration, although, you can't all celebrate until you get there, or it's good to celebrate on your journey. But I guess, you guys, since you've covered a lot of it, if you just want to kind of summarize it again or bring up something else you were thinking about, is why is celebration key to the journey for your members or for your participants that are in your certification programs? And David?
I mean, I'll just say everybody likes a good party, right? Especially when it's a party for something that you've done, versus getting taken to the principal's office. So I think it is important to really acknowledge the work that is being done. My job, it's my job to outreach to the community, which includes the business community, to encourage more sustainability. They're the ones that are actually, doing the work. I could, it's kind of like if we're in a dark room and I have a flashlight and I'm shining it around, I'm shining it over here for, hey, there's a no idle policy that you can adopt. Here's Clean Fuels Ohio that can help you get certified and have a greener fleet. So it's like, we have the tools and things like that, but it's really them that are implementing it. And it's really important to recognize that, because without them, we can't get to our sustainability goals that we have set. I also think it motivates other people. Like I mentioned before with our Green Spotlight Awards, when we do the press release, I usually get some businesses that contact me asking about the program. Pre-COVID, we'd have an in-person event where we would have different speakers highlighting different things. We'd have groups, that have different tables regarding sustainability. Of course, we had food there. And it was just a really good time to recognize these events that are happening. And also to really, sometimes people might hear of Green Spot or Clean Fuels Ohio, and they only kind of know about one aspect of the program. They don't know the totality of all the things that they do. So celebrating those successes kind of gives you our Green Spotlight Awards, for example, kind of lets folks know all the different programs, areas that we have within Green Spot. But yeah, and also, and I know I'll say this is my last point, but it also allows that organization to realize their work is being valued, and it's going to help them kind of be inspired to do more. As Sam mentioned, when he meets with some fleets, once they get going, it's hard to get them to stop. And you don't want them to stop, because they see how everything kind of just starts rolling, and they're seeing return on investments. They're seeing their clients. Their clients are like, oh, you're doing that? Well, that's pretty cool. Like, for instance, I'll give an example with White Castle. Their headquarters down here, it's actually not far from public utilities here, but it's a LEED certified building. They had a compost program where all the food waste in, I think it was their Franklin County or Columbus locations, was being composted. So getting that story out there. So.
Yeah, and just to build on that, everything that David said is exactly right. But just to build on that a little bit, I think there's sort of an internal facing and then an external facing kind of side of this. So in terms of internal facing, your employees want to feel proud of who they're working for, and they should feel proud if you're going through these kind of steps. People, and even more, especially Gen X and Gen Z, kind of are millennials or whatever. They want to, who they work for and the values of that organization are very, very important drivers for them wanting to work for a particular employer. And then in terms of external facing, if you're a government, you're citizens want to know, what are you doing on the sustainability side? If you're a business, your customers want to know, what are you doing in terms of sustainability? And so when you earn a certification or recognition, that shows them, here's what we're doing. And it's tangible. It's not just fluff and greenwashing. It's real stuff. And so I just think that it's very important to celebrate for all those reasons.
That's great. That's great. All right. And it kind of leads to the next one. It's not a downer question, but it's part of, every program or every, certification program or recognition program to think about is, what are some barriers you hear from people and organizations that cannot participate or make the change to make that change to be more sustainable or get on that journey for sustainability? David?
The two ones that always pop up are time and cost. Those are really kind of like the hand-in-hand obstacles that we hear. And we understand it. They're in a business. If they're in a business, they're in a business to make profit. And they have to be careful where they're putting their resources. So we try to, with our resources, let them know of different things that they can do to be sustainable. So it's not just jumping right to the most expensive thing to be green. It's looking at kind of what Sam had mentioned, taking stock of what you're already doing now, getting that data, and then using the resources that we provide, Clean Fuels provides, other groups provide, which one you want to tackle or how can you tackle it. So, the example I gave earlier with even including something in an e-newsletter, we actually have, copy that we could send organizations to, like when they join GreenSpot, here's how you can let your employees know about it. That's something that's easy. That's something that doesn't take a lot of time. For those things that do take a lot of time, there is work to be done, right? And it's providing them with that connection. Maybe they don't have time to figure out, how do I get energy efficient rebates? Are there any out there? Well, we could let them know. We could connect them with, like here in Columbus, AEP, Ohio, or Columbia Gas for energy efficient programs and things of that nature. So I think it's important to show them that even though sustainability, right, is this huge thing, it encompasses so much. Sometimes just showing them a framework to think about it helps them figure out what to do first.
That's great. That's a great point. Sam, from your perspective?
I think it's cost is certainly a factor, but sometimes it's a factor for what they may perceive. Like if it's a trucking company that has class 6 to class 8 vehicles or something, are they going to be able to transition all those over to electric within 3 years? No, that's not going to be realistic because it's going to be too expensive to do that. That's one reason also why we are so active in terms of working to educate policymakers about the need for incentives. We've helped fleets get some incentive dollars, and we know where a lot of those dollars are. It can help them be accessed when they are available. But also, I'd say a barrier. It goes back to education, because again, sometimes it's what you don't know. So if you all of a sudden hear, oh well, here are steps I can do that have a return on investment within a year or a couple of years. Oh, well, I can do those things. Or I can, or here's a drop-in fuel that I can switch to that's going to provide, some sustainability benefits. Why not do some rather than none? So I think it's a combination. Yes, dollars, but also education. And that's where what David and I are offering can come in to help.
It's great.
I want to kind of build off of that real quick and just say, when you're talking about a return on investment, yes, there is like dollars that you're looking at, but you also have to look at, quite frankly, the happiness of your employees, right? So if you put in like a rain garden or something like that on the property or native plants, your return on investment, you're probably not going to see a return on investment, but you're providing habitat for all those really cool pollinators, some of which might be endangered. Also, maybe it gives your employees somewhere to go during their breaks and see some color, and see something cool. So when you're talking about return on investment, you have to kind of broaden your definition and look beyond just the dollars and cents, but how is it affecting your employees?
That's great. That's great. So we have like one more question to ask before I do a quick live poll, and I'm going to word this is your elevator response. So like we're on an elevator ride. So and somebody turns to you and says, "What are your top 3 pieces of advice or encouragement for starting or continuing the sustainability certification recognition program?" You only got the elevator speech answer. Like, what would you tell them? Like 3 bullet points. Go ahead, David.
Well, I would be taking the stairs, right? Because I'm a green guy.
I walked into that one.
I think the couple of things are know your parameters, whether you're starting your own recognition program or you're looking to join one, know your parameters. So take stock of what's already being done now, how much time and resources do you have to devote for that. So I think that's a big one. Another one is who's going to benefit from that? Is it your clients? Is it your employees? Is it both? And then try to pick an area to focus on. You might have enough resources to focus on water, energy, reducing waste, green transportation, green cleaning. That's awesome. But a lot of organizations don't have those resources. So what's one area you want to focus on? And then finally, have fun. We had one organization, they gave out an iPad as a prize on Earth Day for their employees that joined GreenSpot. So it's just kind of something cool to do. So I would just say those things.
Okay. Sam? 3 pieces.
Yeah, sort of a lot of things. I mean, one is to start with a commitment to metrics, to being able to measure what's the benchmark, and then what's being done, what's the impact. So the certification or recognition, so it means something. And then, I think also, what we really try to do, we educate, we do analysis. I've talked about all that, but we try to build peer-to-peer relationships. So our program is big on helping fleets that are just getting into something or just exploring something, helping them learn from others who have done those same things that they're on the journey towards doing. And then third, have mechanisms to celebrate the successes. And then, as we say, rinse and repeat, being able to go back, do it again, get to higher levels of certification. And I think that whole process just makes it really engaging and fun for the employees and for the community also. Great.
Well, thanks, guys. I wanted to run a quick poll again, and then I think we had a couple questions trickling. If we have time, we're running, only got about 5-6 minutes left. I might ask each of you one more question, but for the audience, I'm going to do a poll time just to see how you guys are doing and get your feel for the room or our virtual room. And it is, how do you like to be recognized outside of your organization? Select one or more to following, and we're only allowed 5 options when we launch this poll. So if you have something else, by all means, chat it in. And I'll just give us a few, handful of seconds for this. There's no right or wrong answer either. Right. 10 more seconds. I'll close the poll and show the results. Oh, well, look at that. It's a validation of program efforts is high, and so is awards and related items. But every answer kind of has a decent amount of people responding. So I think it shows that being recognized outside your organization, it can fall for you do it for many different reasons. Kind of like our last question, when we were talking with David and Sam. All right. So we're running short, but I do know we did have 2 questions, and so I'm going to go to Sam first. And Sam, if you can answer it, to the best you can with a few minutes or a minute we have left, and then I have one for David. it came in to how specifically does Green Fuels Ohio work with companies to tailor their fleet need? And do you provide a fleet that's more sustainable, or just set up a contract with what the company does?
It's really that we don't manage or run fleets. It's all our work is to help a fleet. First of all, do some analysis of that fleet and looking at options for all sorts of different things that can be done to make that more environmentally sustainable, and then hopefully cost effective if that's a consideration. And we do that through a consulting process. And so I'll circle back. I'd recommend that you can call us. You can email Brandon Jones, just Brandon, BRANDON, at cleanfuelsohio.org. And just we can get the process started.
Great. And David, this is the last one for you. You had mentioned, your new GreenSpot Sustainable Business class, kind of that peer-to-peer, which was great that you both talked about. I think it's important. Is that something that, the GreenSpot program has been around for a while? Is that something that was was in development for a long time, or it was just kind of an epiphany that happened?
It's been around for a while. We have, I want to say about 30 or 40 graduates from it. Again, we keep the class small, so no more than 10 businesses. But it's been around for a while, and we bring in experts. Some are in-house from the city, others are external to talk about the different aspects of sustainability. We also have, I wanted to do a quick plug, we have our GreenSpot Conversation webinar series that's going on. Our next one is on Monday, where we have representatives from Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission and Ohio State University talking about the benefits of a telework policy. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of businesses have gone to remote working, which is a green thing, right? So we're going to talk about how can you have a comprehensive telework policy.
Great. And with that, it's 3:00. We got to wrap up, and I will give a shout out to the GreenSpots webinar series. I've attended them, and they're great. They're great just to get different information and kind of learn some things, what's going on. So thank you again, David and Sam, for your time this afternoon and all the hard work you put in this panel session. I speak for all of us when I say how much we appreciate you sharing your organization's experience and perspectives on how you recognize, certify, and work with a variety of organizations to help them celebrate their sustainability journey. For the audience, once you leave, you will receive a survey. We value your feedback and would greatly appreciate if you let us know how we're doing, and let us know if there's anything we can do to further assist you. A certificate of attendance will also be emailed to you. And with that, this is the last session of our 3-day sustainability conference. I've been honored to kind of close out as your moderator. Ohio EPA wants to thank all panelists and keynote speakers that have taken time to share their knowledge, passions, and achievements related to their sustainability journey. We also want to thank all the Ohio State staff behind the scenes making this conference possible. And they know who they are. There's some right here on this session now helping me out. We hope you enjoyed participating in the panel and the keynote sessions this week. Everyone is at a different point at their sustainability journey, which we've heard, and that's okay. Hopefully these last 3 days will inspire you to encourage, implement, and celebrate sustainable practices to strengthen your organization and the communities that you live in moving forward. With that, thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.